All right, Mech Warriors, let's talk about anchor points in Battletech. We're jumping into some Tactica. We're going to be framing it with some mechs, and we're going to look at what is the best way to approach this situation, build that checklist. So generally speaking, Battletech, Mech Warrior 101, your lance, your group, the group of mechs, whether it's standalone or combined arms with tanks and infantry support, you want to work together. You want to have overlapping fields of fire. You want to stick together. This way, you bring the full weight of the dice. If we look at every type of weapon on a mech, as it comes into range, that gives a certain damage output. That gives a certain level of dice to roll and try to hit. We want to bring everything that we can bear to the target. You never really want to isolate. You never really want to have one mech just kind of running around going rogue. But there are times, as with every good rule, mission dictates, glory dictates, possibility, risk versus reward dictates, that maybe you want to have a mech go solo / commando / has to break off from the lance. And we see this often with a scout mech or a skirmisher type mech. Today we're going to look at a situation where you need to hold a certain hex on the map, an anchor point. Literally, we're going to take our mech, let's look at a battle master or a stalker. It's going to hold this point and truly classical you shall not pass type situation. Usually this is with a heavier machine, but heavy depends on the matrix of the battle. If you're a medium mech and everybody else is light, you're the heaviest. But if it's combined arms, if it's a lance, we're talking heavy mechs. We're talking assault class mechs, a Warhammer, a Battlemaster, a Stalker, maybe an Awesome, although Awesome kind of has some range issues, but you go, meaning when you get close, but then you can use that Battle Fist. You go where you're going to go, but essentially imagine you're advancing and I have to hold this point on the map. Now, why? Battletech is very fluid. I leave it for you to answer the why. Maybe you need to buy some time because you're bringing some really fast-moving hover units around, kind of a sweeping advance. Maybe it's a mission, and you picked up the package, and you're making a run for it. We played a game where there was a Kurita intelligence officer kind of making his way to a landing pad. You had to stop the hover unit, grab this person, literally with a mech with hands, and then make it off the table. So once you had the package, in a way, everything else was kind of secondary. So you're just throwing other mechs, other machines, other tools as a delaying action while this mech kind of runs off the table with this Kurita asset, this Kurita person. So there are times when you want to do that. We'll leave the why. You can fill that in. So the first thing is you're going to be outnumbered. You might be outnumbered a lot, 4-1, 5-1, which means even winning initiative, localized in that area, you're going to be surrounded. You're going to be outnumbered. You are not going to last a long time. So the question is, based on the mech, based on what you're going against, how many turns, and this can't be an absolute calculation because it's Battletech, fog of war, and the dice and crazy stuff happens. Turn one, I was showing Battletech to a friend, a new player. Never take autocannon 20s when you play with a new player. And I had selected some mechs. I just let them pick their own mechs. Whatever, I didn't care about the tonnage. Here's all the mechs. What kind of looks cool? And we're just going to kind of skirmish and play some games. Turn one, my hunchback just blasts out their mech, headshot AC-20. And they're like, this is an awful game. I can't stand it. And I'm like, damn. I really could have used this autocannon 20 shot. Like, could I have saved it for a non-demo type game? Could I have saved it for one of my rival games? But the point is, based on what you're facing in that moment, you got to try and calculate how many turns can I reasonably last before things go to internal. Because once things go to internal, you've got ammo, you've got criticals, you've got systems. That's where the efficiency of a mech really starts to pull back. So you kind of calculate based on the mech, based on the damage, based on what you're facing. Could I go 4 turns? Could I go 5 turns? That's going to give you an idea to say at this point, can I really hold the line? Can I really hold this point while whatever else is happening in the mission happens? So we make that calculation. You're going to be outnumbered. Initiative, you're going to lose. Because in locally there, at some point you're going to have to move that mech, and at least they're going to have 1 or 2 pieces potentially moving. Because remember, in the initiative activation phase, you're probably going to be moving the other stuff first rather than your anchor point. So the first piece is, can you get your back to the wall? Can you put your mech someplace where at least they can't get rear armor? They have to face you head on. Now, there might be some mechs on the left and right. Your primary weapons, your primary firing arc is going to be going against someone else. But even if they move off to the side because you lost initiative, you can at least turn, torso twist, get your back to a building. Really easy to do. City Tech. Be careful of hills and elevation because someone could run up on top and try to kick you in the head, shift from the kick to the punch table. Can you get up against something? Can you get up against the literal edge of the hex map? Can we move up against there? Not always possible, but can you at least move to a place where you limit where your opponent can face? The next is terms of damage. Dealing out damage. You are going to try to extract yourself from this situation once it is prudent to do so. Once your opponent has moved in, once you've moved whatever your mission going, you're going to try to extract yourself. But it's going to be hard, if not impossible. So what we're going to look to do, because maybe the game will end, maybe it won't end. You might be buying yourself some time for a superior position elsewhere. Try to deal the most damage, consistent damage, to the weakest mech. We're going to try and cripple a mech. We're going to try and take out a mech. So if there's two heavies and a medium, I'm going on the medium. If there's, for some reason, a light in the mix, because I'm holding up a lance, I'm going to go for that light. If there's a heavier mech who has the most ammo inside, that maybe I can get a crit. And it's consistent damage. I can't do this type of thing because I'm not pulling back, like sometimes we see with a Warhammer or Marauder. Fire both PPCs, fire the autocannon, build some heat, back off. Fire two, back off. Or fire one, fire two, then back off. Because I have the interplay where I can cool down a little bit. You're there, you can't. So if I'm a Warhammer, besides range, I'm switching to the lasers. I'm switching to the missiles. I'm switching to the machine guns. If I'm a battle master, I'm switching away from the PPC to the lasers, to the SRM-6. Every single turn, I want to be dealing consistent damage, and I don't want the modifiers of heat possibly interplaying with it. I'm going to focus, see what I can cripple, see what I can hurt the most. Now, normally, it's a good idea in Battletech to completely destroy a mech. Because once you start losing mechs, or a vehicle too, now it starts messing with initiative, and you physically remove something off the table. This is a little bit different, because again, we've got this timer of like, how many turns am I going to realistically last? 4 or 5? You're looking to cripple a mech, open it up internally, then move to the next, kind of a save for later. So if I've got Thunderbolt, T-Bolt, I'm fighting, and I open that up to internals, stop. Because it will be much easier to finish later on with the rest of your lance. Then focus on the next mech. So the idea is, can I, in 4 or 5 or 6 turns, open up? How many mechs can I open up and potentially cripple? Maybe I get them with ammo explosion. But now I've significantly at least weakened that lance. I'm trying to trade one mech for 2 or 3. It's not the easiest thing to do. It is an absolute losing battle. And you're going to get punished really, really fast. But this calculation, get your back to the wall, city fight, city tech, perfect, back up against a building, and try to break in, try to get to internals and go to the next. Sometimes you have to buy yourself that time. So building that Tactica checklist, how do you do it?